Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Economic Truth Report number 23. And a lot of things have gone on since last we spoken, and we've seen a lot of turmoil in the economy, ups and downs, and the stock market doesn't know where to go. Bonds are, at 10 years at almost at record lows from where it came from after they start raising rates. It's not budging. It's well inverted with overnight rates and so on. So we've seen a lot of stuff that's happening in the economy. We got the results in from last year from a lot of funds and so on. And so we're gonna see a lot of issues, guys. Um, you know, uh, that has been going on with funds. A lot of funds are struggling and so on. And of course, the Federal Reserve hiked the rates again today. A drastic hike of a quarter percent from that's another up at 4.5 to 4.75. Very dangerous. It's just still just up at like where we were at in 2008, I believe. So yeah, much hasn't happened over there. So we are gonna go through a couple of things here, and of course, the number one things we're gonna go through is, of course, our quickly monthly update on where we're at with, investments and different asset classes. So we're gonna look at that, and then after that, we're gonna go into, a slew of both macroeconomic and geopolitical news stories that are coming out as we speak, and as through the last month there, we're gonna go through it and try to dissect it to see if we can make sense what this crazy world is all about. So yeah, stay tuned here. So let's get into it, guys. We're gonna share the screen with you, and let's go into it right now. Here it starts. Okay. So we're gonna go and look at currencies quickly. Let's look at monthly. Year over year, we kind of gone through that uh, last report that we did. We did our annual report. So let's go into where we're currently at with the current issues with currencies. Has any currencies done well? They've done better to the US dollar as of late. The Swiss franc has gotten weaker, as you can see, US dollar too. So yeah, so as you can see, it's gotten a little bit stronger here. So here the weaker, of course, is the Pakistani rupee, and then we have stronger is both a euro, New Zealand dollar, and Australian dollar. British pound is also stronger, and stronger on the other side is every other currency. Of course, there's weak currencies like the highly inflationary ones, like the Canadian dollar, Swedish krona, Norwegian kroner, Japanese yen, Indian rupee. The South African rand is basically at par. And then you have Chilean peso, I believe, Brazilian real, Hungarian forints, Czech, forgot what that one is. You got the Korean won, is weaker, Mexican, and so on and so on. So we got a lot of very weak currencies around the world. They're weakening to the dollar a little bit as the dollar's become like weaker due to less inflationary pressure. The thing is with inflation, let me just quote this to you guys because inflation itself, everyone's talking about, oh, inflation is coming down, prices will come down. Yeah, prices come down a little bit. But you know what? Like prices hasn't come down that much. Inflation goes up and then it stays here. And then inflation goes up a little bit more and it goes over here. And you got higher prices. And then it goes up, and then it goes up. That's the reason why, the US dollar and well, among with most other currencies lost most of their value over the last 2, 3 decades. So again, currencies are weak, around the world, even though that, dollar is gaining to a few of them. It's good to see here. It's gaining to the usual suspects here. the Venezuelan soberano, the Argentinian peso, the Surinamese dollar. So not much there. Again, we went through most of these. We got the Colombian peso, the Mexican peso, Colombian peso, all losing to dollar. And then the Lebanese pound. And this is, I believe this is today, guys. This is official. Uh, just a little problem here, guys. The US dollar, so we're gonna go into an article talking about this. I actually have, the highest denominated Lebanese pound was 100,000 pound. Lebanese pounds. Now, it would be interesting to see what's going to happen next. Did they actually like? So we're going to go into the article and look more into what exactly happened in Lebanon. They did it today, of course, which was a 90% devaluation. And this is how it looks to the US dollar. This is the official number. Went from 833 pounds to US dollar to now 15,000 in one day. So yeah, if you had your life savings in Lebanese pound, you kind of screwed. Holy shit. That's really bad. Like that's a gigantic loss here, as you can see, 896% monthly inflation weekly, because they just did it today. Today was the day that they actually did this. Okay, so next, yeah, we talked about the Pakistani rupee. Tajik currency is also losing it, but not as much. On the other side, strengthening here is a few, like the Thai baht and so on, but it's not much movement in currencies, really. Like, even though like 5% in a month is pretty drastic, though, still. Um, yeah, not much to report here, guys, when it comes to currencies. The Egyptian pound, Ghanesian, what the heck is it called again? Zeti is also losing out there. So, of course, the Turkish lira has also lost out. The Zimbabwean dollar, um, yeah, Zambian. What is the Zambian currency called, guys? Kwancha. Kwancha. Okay. Yeah, so they're all losing to the dollar. Gain to the dollar is a few. What is this stuff? Tumean Principia. Dobra. Dobra. It's not Dobra Don like in Croatia. Hrvatska. We got the Moroccan dinar, losing Tunisian dinar as well. So currencies they're gaining a little bit to the dollar, but it's not much. Not much movement in this month. As you can see, we're doing great in in the US and stock markets. It's up here. Let's go and look at the Nasdaq here, guys. We're on an upwards move here, but down from the peak here, quite a bit. What is this peak here? So 17,619. Let's do a quick, actually. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna use my calculator here. We're gonna calculate the actual loss here. What is the top here, guys? It's 16,573. 16,573 till and currently it's 12,4. Yeah, let's say 7,7. So that's a still a loss. Like, so as you can see, yearly, yeah, it's down 13.97, but from the top it's still down 24%, which is quite drastically actually. That's it's terrible. So let's take a look at other markets here. But as you can see, they're up on the month. But as I still said there, it's still down 24%. So pretty drastic. Everybody's, doing great here in Europe. Everything is fine. What are we worried about? Of course. Uh, the Turkish stock exchange is suffering. Meanwhile, it's 135% up, but that is nothing compared to the real inflation that's there, of course. Again, let's go to South America. Of course, the two top ones there are just hyperinflationary places. As you can see here, year over year is pretty heavy. It doesn't mean that they're anywhere good because the currency is crap, so you've lost on that. The Canadian TSX is up a little bit, but it probably is still, let's see here, where's the top of the TSX here? TSX was 21,952, 21,952, and then it currently sits at, and we're totally fine. Now, it is a lot of commodities on the TSX, of course, which helps it a bit. So it's only down 5.47 from the bottom. Now, that has helped to have commodities. We go and look here. Got a few. Yeah, Lindy, see these? These are the gold companies here. They're up year over year. So yeah, so they're doing quite well. The gold and energy and copper, as you can see, there's a lot of um commodities on the Canadian exchange. Let's go back here quickly. Let's look at some losers in North America. Merval, yeah, again, Mexican exchange. Um, yeah, again, Colombia has inflation, so it's pretty bad that it's down. Okay, what's happening over in in Asia? Of course, Laos has heavy inflation, so you could almost discount that. Um, this one you don't discount though is the UAE. Is this the UAE? I believe so, isn't stock exchange. So that one is up quite a bit, and that's because of oil, of course. Um, now look at the stocks. Oh my gosh, Lebanon is a mess. Sri Lanka, dropped quite drastically, and their currency is garbage, so very bad. Um, and then we got, yeah, at the bottom here we got India. And we got Thailand, Pakistan. They're losing, even though their currency is garbage. Monthly here, Australia is up 8%, and New Zealand a little bit up. Then we got Africa, which Egypt here, like these can be discounted again. A few that are doing okay without. Nigeria is fine there. But yeah, so it's not a lot within a month, but it's actually a lot, like these type of moves are quite big in just 1 month, just to be honest. Like the volatility today is very different. Like, and of course there's machines out there that, are putting themselves at certain places, and then we move just a certain way where all the 80 to almost 90% of trades go, because there's no active traders anymore. All of them are passive algorithms, that are running there. The AI is running basically everything now. We'll talk about Chat GPT in a little bit here. I don't think we've gotten into it yet because I wasn't aware of it last, like, over a month or so ago. But that'll be very interesting. I used it a bunch already with some very interesting results, must I say. Okay, monthly. We got naphtha, propane is up, and methanol is up, uranium, gasoline, Brent crude is just slightly up. Losers, coal, which was the biggest winner when we did our year review there, which I think was number 21. No, it was 22. The last episode, I think, was the year review. Natural gas down quite a bit, also in the UK, but that doesn't really help. People are starting, and we'll show a little bit what's going on around the world when it comes to inflation and so on. Let's look at gold here. So copper is up heavily. Look at this. Where's copper now? Because this is mostly because of the China reopening, of course, after he had to give up the totalitarian tyranny that they had. Yeah, look at here, 4.2. Now the peak was for copper at 4.89. So we're not there yet, but this is good for, if you'd like to recycle copper, which, I do. You get some pretty good prices for your recycled copper. And of course, the cable that you have to use to install things these days are ridiculous. Like they're up 100% almost. Most of them. Some of them are even more. They just went down, 2-3%, just to give you a reference of where they came from. And 2.2 to 3% down is not a lot. So there's still like an insane amount of inflation, and we'll go into that very soon. Okay, steel is up, of course, because of China again. Iron ore, same. Gold is doing quite well. As you can see, 6.12%. Platinum is down, lithium is down, titanium is down. And then we go to agricultural commodities. Lumber is coming up. Ooh, 40% up in just 1 month. Now, this is how, like, this is where we came from. Let's just pull it out a little bit higher. Yeah, see this? Like we came from, what was the high here? Like it's even higher. It's probably like 1700. So 1700 US dollar per 1,000 board feet. That's how they measure it. So it's still like we're still like about down 75% from the peak. But then we go and look at here. Let's go 10 years out here. Let's look at where we were. We're over double. Where we're let's go to like 2019 here and see where we're at the bottom here. 315. Yeah, we're about like 70% up, with lumber. So but lumber jumped now 40% in 1 month. So pretty heavy jump there. Um, I gotta start to construct my greenhouse here, guys. I plan to build a greenhouse, by the way, a nice big one, just to add to food security. If you get bad weather and colder weather, having a greenhouse that you could run 2, 3 extra months would be massive up here. With the good temperatures in summer, and then we need that extra for longevity to be able to grow a certain amount of crops that we can't up here. Let's look at some other ones. Orange juice, sugar is up, rubber, potatoes, and so on and so on and so on. Won't mention these middle ones at the where bottom, butter, milk, um, palm oil, sunflower oil, cheese, and rapeseed oil, canola. All the oils, food oils are down. On the industrial side, molybdenum, huge jump, as you can see here, which is I believe, what is molybdenum now? Now uh, six highest melting point, silver and metal, extreme high temperatures resistant to corrosion. So it's an alloy agent and it's used in stainless. Okay, interesting. You learn something every day, guys. But yeah, molybdenum is heavily up, 93% month on month, year over year is one. So most of it happened this month, which is pretty like ridiculous. Tin up 15%. So like there's the supply chain stuff here is like what causes this. Like there's so much off and on disruptions of, I was missing a whole bunch of equipment during COVID, of course, buying, for alarm systems and stuff. And what was interesting is that you saw, I actually ended up calling the factories and asking like, what the hell's going on? Because nobody else could give me a question or cared to know what the real issue were. And they were just missing some industrial metals, or they were missing some chemical ingredient that they needed to build this damn thing. So yeah, it's pretty bad sometimes, and we have it off and on now. You see, sometimes it's very hard to get things, sometimes it's easy to get things. But there's still, I believe, inflationary pressures in the supply side of things. So supply pressure, because there's not enough supply still. There's off and on, cutoffs and so on. You got gallium, iron ore, zinc, aluminum, and tin is up here as gainers this month. And then at the bottom, crap pulp, so that's paper, nickel, not as much though, minus 2.66, lead, urea, ammonium, and then urea is down. Yeah, because we were in winter in the Western Hemisphere where a lot of us use a lot of fertilizer. Cobalt is down quite drastically. Those poor, slaves in those cobalt mines in Africa that, Greta Thunberg needs is suffering. They're not getting paid as much. They're getting paid, maybe not enough to feed themselves anymore. It's pretty sad. Let's go and look at eggs here. So you see year over year, the eggs went up drastically in the US. Now there's a whole thing with eggs going on, and if any of you guys that are following me here live in the US and can give me some inputs on what's happening with the eggies over there. I buy lots of eggs. I eat eggs daily, so I would be very interested to see what's going on there with the eggs. And see what kind of supply. I think it's bird flu, mass culling of birds, basically, in the industrial farming, and of course it's very centralized. That's the issue. We haven't seen so much that here in Canada yet with the very high prices that we've seen in the US yet. As you can see, poultry is down, eggs in the US is down monthly. Look at this. Because I guess people don't buy it. It's ridiculously expensive. Now, price here says 3.04, but that's not what you've seen in the stores, that's for sure. Prices in China are a lot better, and hasn't gone up so much. Uh, okay, so yeah, that's it for that. When it comes to electricity here, like this is interesting. You got Spain kilowatt megawatt per hour here. It's up or down. You can see yearly it's down. Weekly, Spain is up 37.86%. Very volatile, to say the least. Okay, so we're gonna go continue here and quickly look at bonds. We are mostly focusing on the U.S. bonds. Where's the American bonds here? So as you can see, the 10-year is moving up and down. Now, of course, the 10-year to 2-year is very inverted. It's negative, let's see here, 0.7 basis points, basically. 0.69.5 basis points. No, 69 basis points. Sorry, 0.69. That's 0.69% of basis point. So as you can see, it's inverted, and then the short term is basically it's ridiculous. Like, look at this. So yeah, borrowing money for 10 years is 3.41, but I'm borrowing it for 4 weeks is 4.54. I'll take the 30-year instead of the 4-week loan. Jeez, this is how ridiculous the world has gone. Unbelievable. As you can see here, let's pull it up for old time here. Like, this goes back to what, 1930? Oh, the Federal Reserve was implemented. We're actually at the level, so when the Fed was born, and we are like the most serious hikes ever. Well, as you can see here, it's pretty serious though. Look at where we were. We were at the 10-year was at 0.53. So let's calculate the percentage increase. How serious that is. For cost. The cost of the US dollar has skyrocketed just over the last month. It is basically, what was it? It's almost gone up 30%. The actual borrowing cost for the US government and the cost of paying interest on the $31.5 trillion that the United States government has. So pretty ridiculous. Okay, so it's 3 let's do calculations there. That's 500, so that's 5.5 times. So costs are just going through the roof. People are gonna suffer very heavily from this. You're hearing stories here already from Canada that we're in serious trouble. A lot of stories from families that I hear around here that are struggling, that living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to pay their mortgages because they couldn't afford them because the high interest rates, they weren't variable, for example, or they went to they had a term that just went up and it came up, and then they had to get a new term, and it was very expensive. People are suffering. It's so bad here in Manitoba. Crime is very high, whatever, in the main city. Actually, crime has gotten to my place right here. Somebody drilled my freaking tank, guys, on my work van. So yeah, the meth addicts have gotten into Sandy Hook. Um, it's ridiculous. It's real bad, but it's first crime here in 16 years, so everybody's pretty pissed off. We lived there for 10 years, haven't seen anything. Um, yeah, so pretty that is one thing, like petty crime like that, but they drained freaking gasoline on my yard, so I might have to dig up my driveway because of morons that I don't think they even got anything. So but that's what meth does to you. Next time they say hello to my little Mossberg when they come. Now I got motion alerts and stuff, so they'll yeah, they won't be so happy next time they come by. Let's just leave it at that. Um all right, so yeah, so that's the totally off track. We went from the 10-year gaining 543% to me talking about someone drilling my tag. Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's so bad that in the food bank here, Winnipeg Harvest in Winnipeg has now a barbed fence around it because people are stealing from the food bank. That's how bad it is. Okay, pretty serious stuff. Not to laugh at, like I try to laugh sometimes, so don't get me wrong. It's freaking horrible what's going on in a lot of countries around the world, and we could go into a lot of that to show you what's going on. And talking to people and my family now in Norway, they're really struggling already. Okay, so let's go and look at crypto here. Um, yeah, monthly gain. Look at this, guys. Bitcoin is up 43%, so not bad. Now, of course, that is from a very low. Well, actually, not very low. Like it's higher than the last low, the last cycle. All right, so Bitcoin, I did see it, bottom in January to February sometime. That's when the last cycle did it, and maybe it's bottom, but maybe we have some more downside. I think we have more downside, guys, still to go here. But look at Avalanche, Solana, like all these, like Solana basically failed with FTX. So interesting to see that it's suddenly up 90% again. Well, it's down 75%. Bitcoin from its year over year, it's down only 35 now. Litecoin doing very well. Binance coin as well. Let's see where's more Monero. Look at Monero year over year. Very good. Very, very good. Like Monero is a very stable currency because people use it for privacy purposes only, not gambling. Like most of these cryptocurrencies are being used as, to bet on, and to invest in to go to the moon. So that's what I like about Monero. It's a very stable currency. Now I don't have a ton of money in crypto right now, but I think I might dip my toe back in here, guys, very soon. Maybe within this month. So we'll see. Might be back into crypto again. I sold at like 45, no, 50 to 43,000. I think I sold most of my crypto. Uh, so and then put it into other things, gold and silver, and yeah, mostly that. Some stocks. But yeah, that's we might go back in there, guys. Okay, so that is the market update, guys. Let's go quickly and look at the global inflation rate. Zimbabwe, is number one. Venezuela, Syria, Lebanon, Argentina, Sudan, Turkey, Suriname, Sri Lanka, Ghana, Iran. All these are over 50% inflation. That means that their currency is lost to value, destroyed, completely destroyed. Now let's look at the same here. Let's go and look at government budget deficits. Look at the United States here. Sri Lanka is bankrupt. Ghana is on the verge. Syria is up there, right? Yeah, you don't see the other ones here, but it's pretty bad. And then interest rates. Look at this, 200%. Yeah, I'm gonna pay 200%. That's like a payday lender. To a millionaire in Zimbabwe, he's getting a payday loan rate. I'm pretty screwed, to say the least, starting a business in Zimbabwe right now. Yeah, you don't want to pay 200% interest. That's horrible. All right, so let's go into the news and see what's going on in the news, guys. Our favorite time. We need to do the update. It's very important and so on. But now we're gonna go into all the news. So stay tuned here. I did a special review of the Financial Stability Board presentation that I posted on my channel, and we went into how I believe the FSB has become the global regulator, and there's no sovereign regulators anymore. Like in the US, the SEC, the CRTC, no, not the CRTC, CFTC, I believe, Commodities Futures and Trade. Yeah. So they have something called regulation, supervision, oversight of crypto assets and activities and markets. Okay. Then, I think just today, a guy named Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, had a little something to say about the future service regulatory regime for crypto assets. The regulator in the UK is talking about the Treasury. Listen to this. I've been on this, and I have said, for literally for 2 years now, 3 years probably almost. I've been saying that the FSB, the Financial Stability Board, is the global regulator. They are telling everybody what to do, and then a lot of them do it magically. So here again, he's in bed with the FSB. I don't know if I like this Changpeng Zhao. The colors look nice. Got the anarcho-capitalist colors there, but being aligned with the Financial Stability Board, which is a global regulator, there's no sovereign regulator. So again, here it says, I hope Her Majesty's Treasury plans reflect Financial Stability Board's recommendation. The regulation should be coordinated, consistent, comprehensive, and proportionate to the nature, scale, and complexity of risks. And, well, guess what? The FSB has the solutions, guys. And this is from October. Now, this was renewed in October. I think it's like from 2021 even, or 2020, that the crypto ones came in. So as you can see here, they go into the interconnectedness with the global financial system, DeFi, cross-border corporation risk management related to wallet and custody services, related to trading and borrowing, data management. So they have a very comprehensive, and they basically are, and then here, update of initiative or standard setting bodies. And here you can see the standard setting bodies that they're working with, which is basically, so here's the banking standard setting body, which is the BIS, Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. So that's under the BIS, Bank of International Settlements. That's the regulator for banks. Then, oh yeah, and then Bank of International Settlements, Committee on Payments, Market Infrastructure, CPMI. Fuck, they love their acronyms here. IOSCO, which is the International Organization for Securities Commissions. But if you want to know more about the FSB, go and look at my presentation. It goes very deep into what the FSB is doing and what they become. Now, yeah, Changpeng, got some issues there, buddy. Um, on another note, Federal Reserve unanimously reject the application for crypto bank custodian. I think this is Caitlin Long. Yeah, Caitlin Long that is part of this, trying to become a bank, an FDIC insured bank, basically a crypto bank. So that has failed. Apparently, not that I embrace anything to do with banks and crypto, of course. Um, and then here we go. This is Wall Street Journal here. Banks brace for more customers to fall behind on their loans. So delinquency rates are increasing, slowly trickling up, and it doesn't take much, 4 or 5%, and the whole financial system collapses. And then, of course, all the derivatives on top. Like when it comes to the credit cards, you got regular like lines of credits or whatever they have. And you have car loans, like for campers, whatever it might be, or a boat or anything like that. It's called asset-backed securities. It's pretty much the same as a mortgage-backed security. And then on corporate loans, you have collateralized loan obligations. But these derivatives are on top of everything again, so it's like a gigantic mountain of avalanche. Snow that is on there, sitting on top of this mountain, ready to just come and eviscerate the global world economy. And then Wall Street says, Fox News and Yahoo's Business Finance writes here, Wall Street economist says recession in 2023 will look like biggest crisis of the 1970s. So basically, well, what happened in the 70s? Well, Nixon took us off the gold standard, and into the 80s, you had the gigantic jump in silver prices, and gold, peaked out there in, was it 81 or something? Um, so you had that. So I see personally, I see a currency reset. They don't talk about it a lot, but we'll look at this very shortly here. Why I think it's a currency reset that's coming. And as you saw, Lebanon just did it, 90% overnight. Like think about that. Think about all of your savings losing 90% of its purchasing power overnight. What would you do? Think about it. Okay, next one. A Japan shock could hit global markets. Now, I was gonna search something up here. Let me see if I can find this for you guys. I don't know if I can find it or not. Uh, let's see if I can find it. If I can't find it, it's fine. Yeah, that was. Yeah, again, what I saw, like I had a chart, but I guess I can't find it now. But what it was basically Japanese banks. There were one that I wasn't very well known, and I think it was Mitsu something. I forgot what that one is called, but it's a global systemically important bank, one of them. But the other one had 120 something to 1 leverage. So be prepared. I think we could see a complete collapse in Japan. There's some sinister stuff going on in the banking system there. And look at where the yen has, lost a tremendous amount of value to the US dollar. Um, and then we got legendary investor Jamie Granton says stock market could crash 50% this year as the bubble enters final phase. So yeah, that's pretty severe. We're down 24%. Uh, is it going to crash 24% more or another 50% of current? Yeah, we've been in a lot of trouble. A lot of investors, like even the most bastion, of funds like pension funds and so on, and sovereign wealth funds have lost a tremendous amount of money. And it's not because they invested in bonds even. You know, their whole portfolio was down, both bonds and stocks, but the Norwegian Wealth Fund was 75%, I think, almost in stocks. Global stocks everywhere, and then everybody lost everything. Well, like I think it's down for. We'll look at the exact number. We'll get to it soon here. Um, do away with the debt ceiling that serves no purpose. Well, yeah, basically it is because it's just a show to then be like, yeah, we're just gonna borrow some more. You know, it's like the bank just keeps on extending your credit limit so you don't go bankrupt. Uh, because these guys could print money still. If you had a salary and you went into more and more debt, you would eventually go bankrupt. You couldn't pay that debt. And of course, they would just print the dollar into oblivion, and then you lose. We all go bankrupt. So these morons, are just virtue signaling about, caring about the debt ceiling, blah blah blah, caring about that. But they like to spend money. It's a bunch of idiots, basically here. Uh, Next one. Pension funds suffer largest investment losses since the 2008 financial crisis. Oh, of course, Global Mail is all paid. Now, there was, you know what? I do have that here somewhere. Hold on, guys. Just bear with me 1 second, because I do have that one available somewhere. No, that was just the top. I know. Anyways, let's hold on there. Let me just show you these pension funds that are there, and most of them are down like 10 to 14%. Let's pull up here quickly. I'm gonna pull up this photo. Okay, here we go. So yeah, look at this. This is the biggest pension funds, and this is the oil fund. It's not the government pension fund. It's the oil fund in Norway. It's like, yeah, I'd love to get some money out of there. Love, yeah, right. Never get money from that. But as you can see, these big pension funds, like most of them are down 10% or more. So they got hit pretty severely. And they're pension funds, so they promise, a lot of money. And then of course now we got the demographic cliff with a whole bunch of people retiring, on top of people retiring early because of the lockdowns and everything. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of trouble there. Like these are the biggest ones, as you can see here. If we don't see the Saudi one here, I think the Saudi was way bigger though. Some of the Gulf pension funds. Uh, but I guess, yeah, they did. I don't know why they're not on here. I guess it's just, well, the Chinese one is here. Has that happened that they become so small, the Saudi ones? Maybe I'm wrong about this. Anyways, they're losing a lot of money because of bad bets. Goldman sees oil at 110 by third quarter because China reopens, get more demand. You got Germany buys record amount of gold. No, Germany is not, known to buy a lot of gold. Uh, Gold demand from Germans. So is this just the German people or central banks? This probably is well, central bank buying, central bank demand. Well, I just want to make sure here. Good morning from Germany. Yeah, retail investors. Um, but they're buying a lot of gold. And it's not just them. The Swiss sent 524 tons of gold to China last year, most since 2018. And of course, China's gold supply in tons have just barely inched up. Here we see the total supply. As you can see here, we're starting to, starting to reach new highs here. As you can see here, what is this now? This ETFs, so demand is down, but then look at here, like real gold is up. Uh, Central bank buying bars and coins, but look at central banks are starting to get bigger. Jewelry is pretty steady. Technology pretty steady, but as you can see here, pretty steady too. The demand has gone up a little bit, but then central bank. Look at central banks. They might be preparing for something. This is gold.org, by the way, so it's real data from all the central banks. They cover all the central banks in the world and look at all their data of gold. You got the UAE in India, the United Arab Emirates in India are in talks to use rupees to trade non-oil commodities and shift away from US dollars, report says. So more nails in the US dollar coffin, of course. Then we got, like Zuckerberg and others that have stocks, they basically fallen tremendously. Yeah, so 25% lower, but the richest guy, Asia's richest man has lost $36 billion in a month. And that's what happens. This is his corporation. As you can see here, it was down at 1800 here, and it was up here. So it lost like basically over 50% at the bottom here. Now is up to losing like 45% of his wealth. Probably like if you had all of it in stocks, which probably did a lot of these ultra rich people. Anyways, so yeah, serious stuff. Like a lot of people are losing their shirts right now. Saudis just said that they are now open to the idea of trading in currencies beside US dollar. Does this spell doom for the greenback? 3 reasons why not to worry. I asked this question to the G30 group, and you know what? Let's look up what their answer were here. Let me just pull this up quickly here, guys. We're gonna go to my website. So, check my website up, by the way, theeconomictruth.org, where I have a report for those of you that are finance geeks and likes to look into central banking. I have a very comprehensive list of central banks and their balance sheets, and also historical balance sheets. I also put in gold, his historical holdings there. Plus, I also added a whole bunch of interesting statistics from the stats that I pulled as well. It's a almost 50-page report now. So it's a very serious report. Now, let's go and look at where do I have it? Sure. No, not there. It's under our economic analysis. And if you're interested, I got lots of content that you can see. We talked about FedCoin with Michael Maloney here in 2018 or 19? I forgot which year. We were very early about it. I think me and Josh made videos about it in 2017, 18. I did a presentation in 2018. Okay, let's do this here. I don't think we shared the audio, so I'm just gonna stop sharing. You're gonna see me for a couple of seconds here. Then we're gonna go back and share. I just want to make sure the sound is optimized so you guys can hear this fun stuff here. But yeah, this is my question, and this is what that news article said. And these are, you might be familiar with, especially one guy, former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, in the 2008 financial crisis, total scumbag. Now he sits at all these think tanks having fun. And this is the Group 30, which is Bilderberg of finance, I call it. But take a listen. I snuck in there and got to ask a question.
Thank you. We have a question from John Sinison. What concerns do you have regarding the de-dollarization? And can the Fed handle a potential U.S. Treasury exodus?
Jeremy, do you want to do that? I would say it's.
No, I mean, just other than, as Tim said, I think at the outset, the fact that the Treasury market is sort of the central fundamental market in the financial world.
It's essential.
Related to the status of the dollar.
Just like us moron academics.
Some urgency to sort of the general thrust of what we're about. But beyond that, I don't know that I'd say much else.
I would like to add to that. I agree with Jeremy that the safer and sounder the U.S. Treasury market is, the more it supports the use of the dollar in international finance, and that's good for the United States and it's good for global investors. And because of that demand, it lowers the taxpayers' bill to meet U.S. fiscal deficits.
Fantastic. So the US dollar is safe, guys.
Thank you. We have another.
Yeah. So, but let's
Thank you.
see.
We have a
Let's see the
question from
reaction when
John
it's being asked
Sinaisen.
here. I just want to
What
see the
concerns do
reaction.
you have regarding the de-dollarization? And can the Fed handle a potential U.S. Treasury exodus?
Yeah, look at these more. So they're thinking a little bit here. Anyways, I just thought I had to share that with you guys quickly here about the Exodus and actually asking, that's the devil. They're not used to these morons. So the World Economic Forum is talking about that he was at the World Economic Forum because they got a multipolar world coming, which I've been talking about for a long time, that we will see that because the US dollar is the falling empire, it will collapse, and we'll still be there, but it'd be like the UK, like look at where the UK is struggling now, and it's slowly losing its power over time. Now back to Norway. Norway is really struggling here. She's doing a big price, like big shop before the price gets hiked on the 1st of February in Norway. And of course, that this was a news article that, the grocery store said, like, come and make sure that you purchase stuff now because we're going to raise rates. Of course, they were called in on the floor of the government saying that, like, you trying to gouge people and buy, trying to sell people more food. What they're really worried about, I think, is what's called velocity of money picking up. When that picks up, more and more people trying to get rid of Norwegian kroner and try to buy real things. And voila, you get a very rapid collapse of the value because at one point, people don't even want to touch it. They just get their salary in Norwegian kroner and then try to, purchase anything with it. That could keep its value, that doesn't lose its value, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 100,000%. Well, no, 100% or more. Like people, yeah. So, Professor in Norway says, get into the store right now. Here in Canada, also, we're hiking prices right now. There was a big stop in prices of the cheapest stuff that Loblaws here, like the Real Canadian Superstore had there, and now you're seeing that's gonna stop and then probably gonna increase that for the poorest people that don't have a lot of money. They buy the no-name brand, it's called, which is basically the same brand but just without a brand on it. Norway's sovereign wealth fund loses 14% on assets in 2022, but stages a rebound in January. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we had a rebound in January, so totally fine. Don't freaking worry. We got 1 month in, and we're having a rebound. We're totally fine. Of course, they had to say that. I warned about, the at the time, and I think I warned about it. I think it was 2018, and I was warning that then they had 65% into stocks. Now they had as much as yeah, now they had as much as sorry, I lost track there. Now they have as much as 75% stocks, and of course they lost 14%, 14.5, I think it said there. Lebanon, as we saw, we just went through in the start here looking at currencies. Lebanon will to devalue currency by 90% on February 1st, went from 843 to 15,000. Yeah, here you go. Like, oh, it's 1,507, but it was actually 800 when they did the switch. So yeah, still far off yeah. So as you can see, the real, the black market, as they call it, parallel market. Parallel actually structures we will need when when the government is completely failed and utterly useless. But as you can see here, it's still nowhere near the 57,000 to 1, which is the the real market value of these Lebanese. Also, like I basically have 100,000 Lebanese pound here, and that'll get you. That's $2, man. Like, let me see if I can quickly find it here for you. Yeah, I got them here. So these are the Lebanese pounds as of current. As you can see here, they. Let's actually stop sharing quickly and so I could show them to you. But as you can see here, there's a Lebanese pound, 100,000 there. So basically, not even two of these gets you $2. Not even two of these gets you $2, right? So they're in big trouble over there. Like when you think about a devaluation like that, will evaporate any savings that you might have had. Now, probably people have been smarter there and are not saving in that currency, of course, which they are in Turkey. They're trying to get other things, like trying to switch as soon as possible to get their salaries. So, but yeah, stay tuned. There's a lot of problems coming with that. Like, of course, their whole economy is total disaster. I think Canada will go the same way. And there's actually an article that would talk about that. The future of banks, a 20 trillion breakup opportunity. Now, this is from McKinsey and Company. And of course, McKinsey and Company has just recently been exposed here in Canada, having huge ties with the Canadian government for consulting and so on. It's a massive government consulting consortium. And that's actually where a lot of these young global leaders seem to be like headhunted from by Klaus and his villains over there at the World Economic Forum for the Young Global Leader Program. They're talking about how we're gonna have DeFi sector and regular banking, I think, and so on. Yeah, traditional banking list. So basically, everything's gonna be a CBDC, gigantic CBDC fund show. Qatar, Norway, and the trouble with Canada. Now they're talking about some alpha and all this stuff, but they're also what they're talking about is that the gas Nazi over just gas Nazi. That's a terrible, terrible word. But actually it's pretty fitting. The soup Nazi in Seinfeld. No soup for you. Trudeau's been out there. It was I think Japan. Well, first it was Germany, then it's Japan. I think it was another country came in, and Trudeau basically said, "No liquid natural gas for you." So yeah, big trouble. But Canada and Norway will go the same way, I think, into hyperinflation. Very soon. JP Morgan said Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, the tapeworm, as Max Kaiser calls him, which is quite fitting. It's pretty much the same. He says that we'll need oil and gas for 50 years. And global depression if climate zealots get their way. Yeah, it's actually spot on. You had just recently, I think Colombia is looking at like completely eradicating their oil and gas. Several others. There's actually a lady that calls Norway hypocrites. She won the Peace Prize and she's a climate activist, starting reaching havoc, and corporations are trying to extract this so we could keep society alive, basically. This is fun. Bolsonaro applied for a tourist. Oh, he got a little tourist visa. He's on a little trip to the United States. Well, this little commie here is taken over, and you got basically was it January 6th or 7th, where they actually raided, the Congress building in, excuse me, in Brasilia, and Supreme Court as well. So that was interesting. But again, you got a calm in place, like Biden and Trudeau, and then you have the same things happening. You got the truckers that didn't do nothing. Then he escalated a little bit. They got into the, January 6th Congress and scared shit out of politicians when the pitchforks. There was no pitchforks. There was only one person shot, and that was a person that tried to, like that was not armed. And then you got actually in Brazil here, which people got shot at and stuff, for trying to raid both Supreme Court and Congress. So let's just escalate. What would be next? That's the question. What we'll see next. So more false flags. Somebody forgot his name, but Scott Ritter was just recently talking about that Biden and NATO is meeting, Stoltenberg is meeting with Zelensky to plan a false flag potentially. And I wouldn't put it past them. The United States is a false flag connoisseur. Creating coups, creating, events like the Gulf of Tonkin that brought him into Vietnam, where they destroyed Vietnamese people, like still to this day with Agent Orange, and yeah, they're wonderful people, but then they go and yell at Putin, that are, doing, like, it's not a good thing to go to war, murder people. Never. He's a terrible leader. But again, like it's, talking about hypocrisy. We were just talking about this lady calling oil producers hypocrites or whatever in Norway for, giving her a peace prize and then producing oil, whatever. But real hypocrites here is the United States, that are just going and destroying countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, and many more, and then sucking out all their assets. Usually, what they do with their war machine. They're the great empire. The Roman Empire did that too, till a point, until it reached its limit and printed too much money, to devalue the currency, and then they didn't have enough money to pay the soldiers, and also, and suddenly the whole thing falls apart. This is the Croatian president says that Crimea will never again be a part of Ukraine. Well, they want to chase the Russia out of Ukraine completely. So yeah, this is gonna be a very prolonged war. That's my point of view. Facing drone strikes, Iran warns any U.S. military action means war. Now they were facing, I think it was Israeli forces that actually had a drone strike as the Jerusalem Post. Israeli drone attack on Iranian weapons factory was phenomenal and a phenomenal success, sources says. And of course, this they just really hate each other, Iran and Israel. And of course, you got Mossad, the CIA type of security, spies there that are doing terrible things as well. Never as good. Like this here is interesting. Let's take a look at this. This is a new invention. This is a slime, bro. Like it looked like a slime hole, like a snail. But look at it's doing a whole bunch of things. Like here it's creating a lead between two leaders, binding it, and it's alive. This is not Ice 9, but this is like Flubber, or what is this? Hey, look at him. I love this battery. Yeah, so as you can see here, very interesting stuff that is happening here with nanotech and AI. Using magnetic field to navigate in tight spaces, as are very interesting. Exclusive, deeply concerning images show that Toronto's most vulnerable use the TTC, which is the metro there, as their last resort, so they sleep there overnight. So this is great. This is what printing currency does, and of course, Ontario is more debt than California, I think, and they're a tenth of the size of California. Here we go back to climate change. A worst London air pollution in 6 years as homes fires burn. So basically, people have gone back to firewood because they can't afford the energy prices of natural gas or oil, so they have to resort to firewood to keep their homes running. This was interesting. This is why news literacy is important. And basically, this lady, Shailene Farnsworth, more like, and it starts here. You got to laugh at this. Like the first thing it says, QAnon made it clear how easily conspiracy theories can be spread across social media into the consciousness of disgruntled citizens. And of course, QAnon. I remember like this is what got me and Joshua there over at World Alternative Media banned was the QAnon purge. We called it a psyop. You know, it's clear and in total psyop created by the U.S. government, potentially CIA, FBI, who knows who exactly did this. But you know, it brought a whole bunch of morons. It even brought, you know, they had the QAnon. What would you call that moron that they showed with the horns or whatever at Congress there on January 6th there. But they want to, you know, have news literacy, and it could, you know, you need to be literate to understand news, and only proper, you know, news channels like CNN and Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg will give you the proper news. Yeah, here, this is the Peace Prize nominated. So she hasn't gotten it yet. But she's a climate activist, Vanessa Nakate. Uh, you know, stop investing in oil and gas in Africa. Get the hell out of here. Stop, you know, trying to you know, develop the country and give them some oil resources so they could flourish. Um, then we got this, you know, the fun thing with the Pfizer, you know, mRNA. One of the top mRNA research executives at Pfizer, he was caught on tape saying a lot of things, like for example, mutating the virus. You know, we can mutate the virus.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone this. You gotta probably don't tell. You gotta probably don't tell anyone. Okay? We're exploring, like, now. You know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we could preemptively develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're gonna do that, though, there's a risk of, like, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses. You have to be like very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something like, you know, goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Is the way that the virus started in Wuhan. To be honest, like it makes no sense if this virus popped out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, I know.
Meet Jordan Tristan Walker, a director of research and development strategic operations and mRNA scientific planning at Pfizer.
Yeah. So anyways, he got stuff like that going on. And then he got confronted and lost his shit. Like totally woke stuff. Then talking about more vaccine stuff, you got Elon Musk felt like he was dying after a second COVID booster shot, causing his cousin,
right now, the net choice vice
Cal
president,
suffered
general counsel, George
myocarditis.
Mason University Internet Law.
It says. So that, yeah, so there's a lot of that. Like, you have stories here locally. Luckily, I haven't had anybody in the family here having issues like that, but there's people that I know that have had family members that have gone severely ill, actually got strokes, disabled from the vaccine, and so on. Pretty bad stuff. And then talking about that moron, he's talking about it's not gain of function, it's directed evolution. You know, I love these new words that they try to come up with all the time to try to discredit, you know, the gain of function. You know, they're just trying to direct it. They're not trying to gain its function so it's worse and can transmit, you know, worse and do other things. So yeah, that's that. And then we got the European Union begins to adding bug additives into food. So they just passed that you could actually add ground-up crickets into your food. It seems pretty tasty to me. Nom nom nom. I can't wait to eat the, you know, like the poor girl there that fled North Korea. That's what she lived on, you know, to survive. Was crickets and grasshoppers. New York Stock Exchange says Tuesday's trading glitch due to manual error. Yeah, there was a flash. Was that the flash crash? I believe. Was that in Wells Fargo? There's somebody that flash crash, anyways. Traders noted that both the designated market makers and floor brokers appear to have been frozen out of their order books that is used to build the opening print. No opening print was provided in dozens of big name companies. It was likely to trade opening without the participation of the floor. But anyways, it's fun flash crashes, when we have all this AI out there. Lowest temperatures recorded in China's most northernmost city, and this is Harbin in China. Temperature is minus 52.3 degrees. Yeah, that's pretty cold. That's colder than here. We've had like, what was the record normal temperature that I have measured here is minus 38.3, which is pretty cold. Then we got the ChatGPT. You guys have you guys checked that out and used that? Like I used it actually to ask about like it's from 2021 still, so I didn't know that the war in Ukraine was on. But what was interesting is that it never have existed. It didn't know that existed, but you had to ask a whole bunch of questions to prompt it to then question. You had to tell it was a hypothetical war, and so on and so on. And then what if Russia took over these four oblasts that they annexed them, and then basically said that Russia was going to win the war, even though with NATO supporting Ukraine. But anyways, Microsoft announces new multi-billion-dollar investment in ChatGPT. Of course, Gates and comes in and tries to swoop this up and trying to co-opt it. Now, actually, I asked it if the United Nations policies was Malthusian, and it says like, yeah, it is, but mostly it's not. So, but it actually reaffirmed it 3 or 4 times. Same thing. So it's basically like it has AI is only as good as its bias of the programmer that built it, and that's what we're seeing. People are looking at getting pretty wiped out here. Robert Kraft and Tom Brady and others are looking at getting wiped out now after the FTX collapse. Then we got this is hilarious. I remember being promoted to OneCoin, I think like 4 or 5 years after I left Norway. So it's probably 2014 or something, or 15. Forgot exactly when. Yeah, so I think it was 2015 or 16. But anyways, I saw through there was total scam, and of course they ran away with like what's her name? Ruja Ignatova. She ran away with $4 billion. And she's boarded a plane and disappeared. 4 billion. So all these scams, this is what financialization of the economy creates, all these scams, guys. Then I thought I'd share this beautiful song with you that really gets these morons in World Economic Forum hyped out to change the world. Listen to this. This is a beautiful piece of art. Look at that guitar player's like really giving it. Yeah, beautiful song. She's playing some kind of instrument with her hands. Anyways, fun times in doubles. After they have some hookers after $2,500 hookers a night. Was it Swiss franc? Maybe I've heard the price. Anyways, the provinces have failed. Canada needs nationalized healthcare. Yeah, here we go. Right, like they're trying to centralize things that. Oh yeah, it failed, so let's centralize it more. Like a bunch of morons. What you need to do is privatize it and decentralize it and have competition. That's what needs to happen with healthcare. You can't save socialist healthcare. It will fail, and especially if national. What a bunch of morons. Gotta laugh at these guys. I get a good laugh. Bank of Canada again hikes its interest rate up to 4.5. So basically the same as the Fed, I think it is. And yeah, here people are getting devastated and destroyed, basically. So not a good thing here in Canada. We're in for like I think was it property prices are down 20 to 25% some places like London, or was it Hamilton maybe? I forgot. Mostly in Ontario and BC, it's down like 20%. A lot of places. Not so much here. I think it's down like 5 to 10% here in Winnipeg. But Canada's coming down. There's so much debt, in Canada. It's ridiculous. The fifth highest private debt in the world. I think they're like right on top. Let's actually look at this quickly for you guys. Just so you can see. This is a measure that you don't hear too much about. But it is pretty serious numbers. Let's see here. So these are the top countries. Like now Sweden has actually surpassed Norway. Norway's number 2, but Canada's still number 5. But as you can see, it's the leveraging is the key word, except for Swedes. Swedes are screwing up. And same with Luxembourg, which is, where all the wealthy elites from the European Union are storing all their money. So that's a good thing. I want to show you one last thing here, which is a old letter. This is an old letter from 1918. There is nothing here. You tell me that they're trying to censor it? Okay, let's see if this works. So anyways, what is interesting about this, it's talking about, this is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, so the 11th district in the United States from December 1918, so 5 years after, basically 5 years after the Fed was instated on the 23rd of December. It's talking about and conspiring how to the address bank. So basically, I got let me read this whole thing to you because this is very interesting how they talk about how we're going to collude to get gold out of, pride out of the hands of the people. Because only we can hold the gold, so the people can't protect their wealth. This is so it says there are a number of banks are continuing their operation in the matter of concentrating gold into reserve. But the larger majority have apparently come to the conclusion that either gold coin or gold certificates have become too scarce to warrant the trouble of culling the few that find their way into the bank, or that the necessity for it no longer exists. So yeah, this is when they're starting to go away from, the gold certificate that they had and so on, which you could go to the bank and then redeem, by the way. And there was also silver certificate, but this is all like this went on all the way, like the silver certificates were all the way up to 50s. In the United States, so you basically come and deposit, like give it to the bank, then get your physical silver. And it's kind of an accounting measure that, like when people want their silver back, the government knows that they printed too much money. So it's, trying to tell you it's a market measure of telling you that you're screwing up here. It's interesting. This is also the war loan department. You can see over Nathan Adams. Anyways, you can see the officer shares. This is very interesting, but let me continue here. The necessity will continue until every dollar of gold, either coin or certificate that is possible to obtain, has been placed in reserve. So basically, they're talking about how they need to get all the basically gold that has been printed, gold coins that they used to have in the United States, and take it into custody. Far more valuable to government as a basis for credit than it is for the individual as circulation, and will continue to have this ratio of greater value to the government regardless of war or peace conditions. Federal Reserve notes are intended to take the place as a circulation of gold coin and gold certificates. They are the deployment of a scientific plan to meet the fluctuations of currency needs, being issued in significant quantity to meet the requirements at crop moving periods, and automatically retired as the demand decreases. But a reserve of gold equal to 40% of the Federal Reserve's notes in circulation is required at all times. Those are still, like you still had to have a 40% reserve. at the Fed. It is estimated that 5 million or more is still in circulating or hoarded in the 11th district. So this is the district of Dallas, Federal Reserve of Dallas. I believe there's 12 districts. Are we gonna see what was it, Hunger Games there? You give your pledges from the districts. Maybe we'll see that at one point, where we'll turn into peasants that will be pledged to murder each other for pleasure for these elites in the districts, the Federal Reserve districts. Anyways, let's get back to it here. Or still circuit. Yeah. So the banks are earnestly required to continue their assistance towards getting this placed with the Federal Reserve Bank, where it may be used to greater benefit. So basically, they're telling them to put them in reserves with the Federal Reserve to a larger number of people. Banks that supply gold to customers who operate important import and export license are requested to reduce their holdings to a minimum. Customers who apply to their banks for gold coins to be used for Christmas presents should be induced to use instead Liberty bonds or war savings stamps. Paper. Take this paper. This piece of paper. Very interesting historical evidence here that they colluded to basically take away, the power of the purchasing power for the people. Again, that is it for today. Lots of things happening. I probably missed a few things, but got to the most important things that are happening. And you got to prepare yourself. Like look at gold prices right now, right? They're up 1952 right now. They keep on going up. Gold stocks are starting to move a bit as well. Like my gold portfolio is now, yeah, I think it's down only a few percent compared to, of course, the 24%. I have gold stocks. I also have nickel, copper miners. I have oil stocks there as well. So mostly commodity and energy. I don't touch anything else in my stock portfolio. And then I got my precious metals and a little bit of crypto, and a little bit of paper insurance as well that I actually are saving into it for a dividend payment annually. But yeah, so make sure you protect yourself. I think that the most important thing right now, guys, is that we need to focus really on, creating networks. And this is my friends, you should really join. I should probably put the link for you to be invited into a great group of mine with some very great friends, Matthew Smith, and you got the Casey and hundreds of other fantastic, beautiful people there that are, either anarcho-capitalists or libertarians and like-minded people that are looking for to have good conversations and have a better life. But living their values and sharing their values with each other and becoming somebody great through their lifetime. Where you can support the family or you can support everybody's life. Have community around you that can support each other, because as you saw in Lebanon, they were talking about the parallel economy. Instead of the government's 1,500, it's 57,000, or like they're going to go to 15,000, the official number, but it's 57,000 still the real economy. The parallel economy, as they called it, and that's where I think we're moving towards. We need to get off this grid, because these central bank digital currencies that are coming, these digital currencies, that we've been talking about. Let me just show you. Like this is I think it's here actually. Hold on. Let me play you this before we end here with where I ask Mike Maloney questions. Government Bitcoin coming. This is actually Mike Maloney posting this. Actually, let's go to his YouTube so we can actually see when this was posted, because I forgot what year it was.
When it comes to
This was 4 years ago. Yeah, so what would that be, like 20? This is almost like probably 20, it'd be February 2019. Yeah, look at that beautiful face. Well, let's hear what I have to say anyways. I might have had too many beers the day before. Maybe that's why I look like that.
To the economy currently, we're seeing a lot of talk from finance ministers, from economists around the world, talking about removing cash. They're looking at cash, from point of view of it being used in black markets and so on, tax evasion. What do you think? What is your opinion on what could happen with cashless societies and implementation over the next years?
Well, that was part of my first presentation at this conference, was the power of distributed ledger technology. When Satoshi Nakamoto gave us this gift of distributed ledgers, blockchain is the first time that the world has ever seen a distributed ledger where you have a ledger over large geographic areas like the entire planet that are all in consensus. They all say the exact same thing at all times. This is a great gift, but it's also a great danger, because once governments latch onto this, they can control us a lot more. Now, a cashless society is required if these insane Keynesians that run the central banking system, if they want to take interest rates severely negative. Negative interest rates punish you for holding currency, for saving, for putting it in the bank, for buying a bond, whatever. If they want to cause you to go out and spend your currency, if they create negative interest rates so that they're charging you 5% per year for not spending your currency, then in their mind, that's going to stimulate the economy. When you have cash, you have the option of taking your cash out of the bank and just keeping it at home. And if everybody else is losing 5% of their wealth due to negative interest rates, and you're not, it's the equivalent of making
Look at Luke in the background.
You're 5% better off than the rest of society.
Little sneaky boy. You can see him in the background.
Society that still has cash,
jealous.
They can't go severely negative. They can go 0.5% or 0.75% or maybe even 1%. And right now, the proof that we're still in a severe emergency is the fact that countries that make up roughly 1/4 of the world's GDP still have negative interest rates. And negative interest rates are insane. They were not a concept before 2008. If you had been an economics student in 2006 and you stood up and said, "Professor, let's talk about negative interest rates," he would have said, "Sit down and shut up, kid. You're going to flunk my class if you don't shape up, or you're going to have to just ship out."
So anyway, that's pretty good end to all of it. But again, that was Mike Maloney. We asked him about cashless. I also done presentations on cashless societies. You can find that under speaking tab on my website. Where I did basically the same. Was the same year? No, money printing. This is me and the Timster. Right. This is funny. So look at this here. COVID-19, the greatest, latest information from. It's basically YouTube putting in there because we're talking about COVID, I guess. And this was the right during the crash in March of 2020. Pretty funny. And of course. Timster had to put a great oh, gotta love it. Yeah, so really fun. But anyways, ending on a good note that you need to decentralize. You need to have your own food and so on, because as you see this centralization of food like eggs and other things, you're seeing that really are starting to struggle. So I think it's time for everybody to start taking care of themselves and get away from these terrible people. I also have another website that you should check out, which is Young Global Leaders, a club where you could search up everybody that's part of the World Economic Forum network, Young Global Leaders, and you could search them up. And I have basically a detailed website with a lot of their plans, plus a few of my presentations here at the end. You can see what they're up to here, and it's the UN. Again, our common future with Groland Brundtland, our common, Agenda 21, and then you had now Agenda 2030 ESGs. I mean, you see anybody has a pin. This is what you should look for. Right? if any politician, let's see if we can find it here quickly for you guys. If you see this, you stay far away. Okay, it wasn't there. Yeah, here. Yeah, this. And where can you buy it? Oh, of course at UNDP. Anyways, if you see this pin, this is the 17 goals, and that's what they promote, the ESG. If you see this, it's a bunch of scumbags that are trying to rip you off. But anyways, again, let's end this on a good note here with a little bit of humor at the end. And let's try to, make those societies. Yeah, I'll share with you the group. It's called file.co, but I can share the link so you could make sure that you check that out and see if it's anything for you. It's a pay group, of course, but I would say it's a very, I'm very happy with paying the $50 a month that I paid to be a member of the pro side of the group, to have real discussions and learn from people that really want to change. Matt is a very successful business guy, but he's also learning. He's building his farm down in Uruguay and trying to really be get away from the grid, all the control grid of the state and other authorities that try to stranglehold you and control you for the rest of your life. But it's important that we build these connections now, and that we have them, both locally and internationally, so we can both, be able to talk and find out what's going on around the world. Yeah, it's a great group. I highly recommend it for anybody that wants to, have somebody to talk to, even. So yeah, just make sure you check out, of course, theeconomictruth.org. Check out the file.co, younggloballeaders.club. And then, of course, check out my books, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World, ? Now, a lot of the stuff that I talked about, I warned about the debt crisis. I was coming both with the private debt crisis that we have now that are really unfolding, and then, of course, the government debt crisis that would unfold with the liberals in power. Of course, a lot of it has come true, and things are starting to hit the fan here in Canada pretty bad. But again, we need to get off the grid financially and with our lives as much as we can, because that way we're more resilient and have connections with people that have real things, food and other supplies that you might need during crises, because we're entering one, and this is going to be a big one. So stay tuned, and love you guys, and stay safe out there. It's a crazy world, but we'll get through it. Humanity is strong, so we'll survive this moronic period that we're in of totalitarianism, and then we'll slide right back into decentralization, hopefully at one point, and we'll be prepared for it. So anyways, have a great night, guys.